So hey everyone, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Chris Colston. I'm here with Isaiah Toops, Kimberly Lake, Maria Reed, and we are Four Friends in a Book. So Four Friends in a Book is a monthly video podcast where we have a discussion centered around a book that we're reading together and how it may or may not relate to current events and relevant topics of today. So it's kind of a mixture of a book club and just table talk amongst friends. So each month we will select a book that we're going to read. We're asking you all to join in with us and meet us here for the discussion. So for those that are watching right now, we ask you please to like, share, comment, follow us on all social media platforms. We would love to hear from you, your thoughts, your comments. Even if you have book recommendations or topics you want us to discuss, we would love to hear that. So make sure you do that. So this is our debut episode of our new video podcast. And so we're trying to just kind of give you the concept and explain the premise of the show, but also introduce ourselves to you all that are watching right now. So for our introduction, I'm going to kind of start with Laria. And so Laria, just introduce yourself to the team or to the viewers, but also give 3 things you feel like everyone should experience in life.
Okay. Hey everybody, how y'all doing today? I am Laria Reed, and I am a native. Well, I was born in Warner Robins, Georgia. Kathleen, Georgia is where I'm really from, the country. I'm a country girl. I enjoy that. I am the daughter of a preacher and a teacher. So I love the Lord and I love books, which makes a lot of sense for this. I just enjoy my friends, enjoy talking about books. So this is like right up my alley. I'm excited about this podcast because I think it's really going to be a lot of fun. But 3 things that I think everybody should experience. The first thing, and I think I got it on my shirt, but you guys can't see it. It's like different cities. But I think everybody should travel outside of the country. Y'all with me on this one? Because I think that traveling really opens up your mind to other people and the way people live. Everybody does not live like us. We are really spoiled in the States in a lot of aspects. And I think that if we understood how the world really works outside of ourselves, we'd be better people. I think everybody should experience their purpose, like who you really are, like know who you really are, not what your parents told you you should be, and really operate in that, even if it's volunteering. I think that's very important. And the spiritual side of me says, I really want everybody to experience God's love, like how much he really loves us. If we really knew how much God loved us, I think a lot of our actions would be different and a lot of the things we do would be different.
Okay, good.
Y'all looking at me, y'all look, y'all like, okay.
That was good.
So those are my 3 things.
Look, you stole one of my 3s. You know, I was gonna use that travel piece.
You stole one of my
I probably should have went first, but you know, Isaiah, you got something next, man?
Oh yes. My name is Isaiah Toops. I'm a native here in Middle Georgia. I'm the youngest child, youngest grandchild as well too. So I have a lot of responsibility to keep pushing, the conversation forward, from the things that would pave way for me, as far as my parents and grandparents as well too. When talking with my granddad, I never forget what he told me to look at his hands. He never want my hands to see his rough. He never want my hands to be rough like his hands. That means to use my mind and keep pushing this conversation forward to the things that he taught us as growing up. And the 3 things I think that, people should experience here, while they're here on Earth. My first one is actually deep sea diving. That was actually, one on my bucket list. I was able to, touch the ocean floor. I can't say that for a lot of my friends, but it actually was an experience, for me. And being down there on the ocean floor, it's not all magical like we see on those nature channels. It's actually quite, it wasn't really, spectacular as well. But I was glad that I was able to actually do it. A second one of mine is actually skydiving. And I know one of my co-hosts is excited to go with me on this skydiving adventure as well. So you see, I like adventure. I like the rush, the challenge, and taking me up to my aptitude and out of my element, and pushing me to do things I would normally think of. And the third one I think Loria touched on as well is to travel internationally. It's good to experience how people live in different cultures and areas of the world. It makes you actually appreciate the amenities that we have here in America, once we get back.
Nah, that's
So
good, brother. That's good. But
Yeah.
that means you said the deep sea. Like, I can do the sea, but the deep sea.
Snorkel.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
you
a
went all
little.
the way down.
yes,
Yeah,
yeah, we
that's
had to train it. We had to train and all.
all right,
Wow.
Ken. What do you have for us?
All right. Hey, everyone. I'm Kimberly Lake. I am the youngest of 3 children. So, shout out to the youngest kids out there. I was born in New Jersey. I'm a military brat. So, I've traveled around, but we settled here in Georgia. I'm a filmmaker and a creative. So, anything creative, I love doing it. The 3 things I think everybody should experience before or in life in general. I think one, being in love. I think love is like the greatest. I mean, like the Bible says, the greatest of all things is love. So being in love and like really loving someone. 2, to kind of one up which Loria and Isaiah said, I think traveling, yes, but I think actually living in another country. Because my dad, he was in the military, so he was stationed in Italy. So I got a chance to actually live there. And it's one thing to like travel to a country, but it's another thing to actually live there and be in the culture. So I think even if it's just for like 6 months or 3 months, just actually living there with the people, that is a great experience. And my final thing is, I think we all have like a cause or a reason why we're here on earth, like to help. You might be like into helping the environment, like race relations, feeding the hungry, whatever. So I think everybody should find what that is about them, and then just join that cause and really work for making the world better for when you leave.
Love
That's
those,
good.
Ken. Love
That's
those.
good. Look, man, I probably should have went first because y'all didn't use up all the good stuff. I set myself up for
it,
that. But
it's
again,
okay.
Chris Colston, native of Meridian, Mississippi, currently residing in Georgia. I'm the youngest as well. I have one older sister. My parents and sister are back in Mississippi. Engineer by profession. I'm a budding entrepreneur and consultant and investor trying to break into that realm.
Okay.
Love technology, love adventure. I'm with Isaiah on this skydiving thing. I've gone once, so I'm somewhat of a thrill seeker, like that aspect. I'm a Christian as well. And that's kind of a big part of my life, and actually a piece that's kind of all connected us here together as well. So 3 things that I think everyone should experience. So I love to travel, so that traveling piece as well is very, I think, critical for anybody that's living here on this earth. To get outside of your comfort zone, there are places in this world that just operate completely different from what you're familiar with, what you know about. So to have that experience, to get that exposure, I think is critical. Which everyone kind of mentioned today as well. I think my second one would be to experience the presence of God. So to be in a moment where like without a doubt, like, man, God, this was God. This was nobody else. I think that's like one of the most amazing feelings ever, to be in that space where, you know, you can't really explain it, you don't really understand it, but you just know that like God has his hand in that moment. Like I think everyone at some point in time, try to get to that point of having that relationship and having that experience.
Okay.
My third thing is kind of to piggyback off of what Kim said. Um, Even with love, so being in love or experiencing love, and even outside of what is like love from your friends and family, but to love someone else, and just to have that experience and expression of that, I think is something that we should all strive to have. We were placed on this earth to kind of fellowship and commune with one another, and so to have that expression, I think is something that we all should experience before we leave this earthly life that we live. So yeah, y'all took all the good stuff. I had to kind of try to catch up.
No, that
No,
was
That was
you're
Yeah,
good.
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 That was
yeah,
good. That was
yeah.
very good. I enjoyed it.
I
That
know.
was good.
I didn't want to go behind you.
All
No.
right, so for the audience, like let's try to give him to shape the conversation. Like, how do we even get to this point? Like, 4 friends in a book. Like, so I know looking back on my vision board, 2021, like I wasn't thinking about no podcast. I wasn't thinking about no books. Like, how do we even get to this point? Like, can somebody explain that to our viewers?
And I think I can explain that. I think, first we was, introduced to the House Party app by Loria. And I think we first got on the House Party app with the premiere of Kim's documentary, Segregated Sundays. So we actually kept going with
shameless
that.
plug.
Right. It's on YouTube. Check it
Segregated
out.
Sundays.
And we
Yes.
kept going with the House Party app, with our daily conversations about, the things that we were experiencing. With this pandemic, it all had us inside. So, the best form of communication was the House Party app, just to catch up with our friends, see what was going on. We all was able to, catch up with, some good reading. If we can actually go back and look into our old, House Party videos, basically it's actually doing what we're doing now. We're reflecting on, what we've done, experience, the culture, as well as to look at the world events of, our own eyes and just respond upon that. So I think, that's the real reason of how we actually was able to birth this podcast as well, too. As Chris said, like, this was on my vision board of 2021. But I think with the experience of things that we have done and able to do in spite of this pandemic, they able to keep pushing forward, keep pushing that knowledge out there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's good, bro.
Right.
That's good. Anybody else have anything they want to kind of add to that?
Thank you, Loretta, for the House Party.
No, thank my
Isaiah.
brother Willie.
Yeah, so like Isaiah mentioned, we're all kind of, connected via one of our local churches here and just kind of formed a friendship. And then,
Yes.
COVID hit, kind of disrupted everything. So we had to move to a virtual environment. And, I think we're here now. So 4 friends in a book. And I think that is a good segue into, I guess, our next topic or our next piece of this podcast today. So again, this is our debut podcast. We're not really going to get into an actual book. We're trying to just kind of set the tone, the premise of what this podcast will be about, so all you viewers kind of understand kind of the order of recession and how we will, go about this each month. But so with that being said, let's give our viewers a breakdown of even how we got into reading or what our favorite genres of books are, or even your favorite book. Give some background and history on that piece for our viewers that are tuned in today.
Well, I guess I can go.
Okay.
So I remember growing up, books have always been a part of our lives and my family. I remember in the summertime, they used to have the reading clubs and all that in school. And then we used to have the book. What was the book thing in school that they used to do at the book fair?
Book fair.
Every year. Yeah. I used to book fair because we got in the culture of reading very young. So it kind of just stuck. And then even when I would see my dad reading books and he would listen to a lot of, that's when they had the tapes that you had to put in the car. He would always be listening to tapes. And I'd be like, I don't want to hear this boring stuff, but it was always around all the time. And I think even with parents, your kids are picking up on what you do. And reading was one of those things. So for me, I love documentaries. That's for videos. And I love biographies. So biographies, I have everybody's biography. That's almost anybody. It might be somewhere in storage right now, but but I do love biographies. That's my thing. And what was the other thing you asked me, Chris, or asked us? I can't remember.
You have a favorite book you want to mention?
Oh, my favorite book is Lessons from My Father by
Okay.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think I've read the book. Yeah.
That's my favorite book.
Good book.
Yeah.
That's a great book.
Another shameless plug. So for those that don't
Another
know,
one.
yeah,
That's
Maria
right.
is an author and she has her own
That's
book
right.
out,
That's
so.
my favorite book. but my real favorite book, for real. That's the one I wrote. You can go on Amazon and purchase.
Okay.
But but my favorite book for real is the Bible. And I was really trying to come up with another book that I really like as much as the Bible, but I really, really love the Bible because it has drama, it's got practicality, it's got how to live. It's like a guide to everything. And if you really take time to really read it, with the eyes, of course, of Christ, And even if you've never accepted Christ into your life or anything like that, if you just go through and read it, you'll really see a lot of things in it. Like, oh my goodness, they were doing this back in whenever before we knew about time.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's so relevant today as it was back then. But that's my favorite book for real.
That's sure. Okay.
Not to be cliche.
Kim, you wanna step in next?
Sure. Looking back over my life as a child, I was just always an avid reader. I remember going to the library, like my mom would take me. I would get stacks of books. I would read like Babysitter's Club, like all the girl books back in the day, Babysitter's Club, and Nancy Drew, Sweet Valley High. Like I would just read, like devour them as a young child. I would play it outside, but when I came in, like I just read, and I always loved reading. Like Loria said, like them personal pan coupons from reading. I used to be stacking them up. Like I was mom, we need to go to Pizza Hut. Like, so I was always a reader. And I think for me, I love fiction. And I love, if I'm reading a book, it's about probably 90% of the time it is a fiction book. Because like I said before, like I'm a filmmaker and I'm a creative. So fiction sparks my creative mind and it helps me, like I have a vivid imagination. So I can really, like when I read a book, I'm really like feeling like I'm a character in the book. So that's just me. So I love fiction. My favorite book is Homegoing by Ya Jassy. And I like that book because it's a fiction book, but it's about the slave trade and following two generations. So basically, there's half sisters that live in Africa, and one got sent to America as a slave, and the other stayed in Africa. So it trails their life and generations of what happened in their lives. And I love it because one, I love like the history of our people, one, and it really made me think like that probably really did happen. Like some families really, some people stayed, some people didn't. So just seeing the differences of how like the lives of the Black American and those who stayed in Africa turned out. I think that's interesting. So you can check it out on Amazon. It's called Homegoing. Great review. So that's a little bit about me.
All right, Isaiah.
Yes, I can, go next. And, like L'Oreal said, I think, for me, the reading actually started with, going in the summertime, we're going through the libraries and, joining the summer reading clubs. And we want to read these stacks of books to actually get that trophy as well as that certificate at the very end of the summer. And, as that was good then in actually the early stages, but it was not until I think for me, it was not till in middle school when I actually found my love for reading, and it was for actually African American literature. And the books that actually, changed my perspective was like The Miseducation of the Negro, The Bluest Eyes by Toni Morrison, I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou, and an all-time classic, Black Bourgeoisie by E. Franklin Frazier. And like L'Oreal, I actually love memoirs as well too. I love when the author tells that story. No one can tell the story like you can, like your own memoir. So I love really memoirs. And my favorite book is actually, I read it last year. I picked it up. It was a recommendation. It's called Heavy by Kiese Layman. And it actually depicts his life. He's actually a Black male. He grew up in the state of Mississippi, born and raised. And it shows I see where he got his title from, Heavy, because the book is actually heavy. And we have that term of endearment, what goes on his house stays in his house, but he actually put it in the book. And he actually depicts on his life, his financial struggles, dealing with his family, body images, and a lot of the things that, we go through as Black males, but we really don't really talk about it. But he actually showed that, we can't overcome this stuff. I saw a lot of myself in that book, and I think that's why I gravitated to it so much. So I think that's one of my good favorite books as well too. And also L'Oreal, 2020 was a good part, of me as well too, and I was actually able to read the Bible from beginning to the end as well too. It was always a goal of mine, but for 2020, I actually put it to practice. Well, I got into the Bible app and actually was able to break down these chapters from beginning to end, and I'm glad I was able to do it well.
Look, that's good, bro. That's good. Look, I'm not gonna front for y'all. I'm gonna throw a wrench into everything everybody just said. I'm not as well read as these people on this podcast. I'm just gonna be honest.
That's not true.
He's well read, y'all.
He is.
I grew up not liking school. I'm surprised I even graduated and got a degree and got a master's degree and all that other stuff. But the pandemic did kind of put me in that space of reading more. And I'll admit, my friends here have kind of put me on Audible. So that has been a good help. I was resistant for a long time. I was like, nah, that's cheating. I can't do that. That's cheating. But that has been a kind of a game changer for me personally. But I do love autobiographies and history books and things of those sorts. So those, even though I'm a techie guy and I like new technology, there's something about, I guess, history and knowing about your past and where you've come from and just getting a better understanding of that kind of speaks to me. So yeah, I didn't really like reading a lot as a young person, but I do remember, and I actually found the book. It was my either third or fourth grade teacher, Miss Porter. And if any of my classmates are watching right now, I'm pretty sure y'all remember this, but Miss Porter would read to us like every day. And the book we read is Roll of Thunder, Hear My Cry, by Mildred Taylor. She's actually a Mississippi author. And it was one of those books that kind of draw me in. It was relevant to kind of the setting that we were in. It was the Mississippi author, so she wrote about Mississippi. It was set in the time period of doing the kind of Reconstruction era. So some of the sharecropping, some of the, civil injustices and things of that sort. But it was written from the perspective of a young girl named Cassie. And I think that was the first book that really drew me in to the point of, like you guys mentioned before, like having a little school book fairs and like you can go purchase books and things of that sort. So me actually wanting to go buy a book and actually read it. And there was a sequel to the book and I purchased that and read it as well. But that was kind of my, I guess, first introduction into getting into books, reading, and kind of, I guess, developing that desire. Like I said, I ain't as well read as these people are, but I got more books on my to-read list than I've actually read. But, I'm getting better. Audible helping me out, so
Audible will help you out.
Like for those that are watching right now, you read a whole bunch of books. You like me, don't feel bad. We gonna make it happen. All right, so now we're getting to this segment of our show, which we call the Rant. A period we're gonna have each show where we're gonna give one of our friends 60 seconds to just talk about whatever's on their mind. So whatever they a current event, something that's near and dear to their heart, something that's going on or trending right now in social media or whatever else it may be. With just 60 seconds, uninterrupted, we're going to give them that time to talk. And so for our first rant, we're going to give that to Isaiah. So Isaiah like to talk. We're going to keep him to 60 seconds, but 60 seconds starting now. Go.
I would be remiss if I didn't talk about the importance of vaccinations. That's very important to me right now for fighting COVID-19. And I understand the fear, especially what happened with the Tuskegee experiment. That's the first thing we hear as well as dealing with these vaccinations. And the problem wasn't that they gave us medicine. It's basically they withheld medicine from us, which was the vaccination. They actually injected black males with syphilis to see how their body would react when injected with that deadly disease. And that's what I don't want to happen to us as Black people now, because we have a vaccination that could potentially save our lives without getting the COVID-19. And don't allow the system to prevent you from saving your life as well as to saving your actual family. And to know if something is actually working, look at the richest of people and people that actually have access to every single thing. And they're actually at the forefront of getting this vaccination as well, too. And I'm going to close it up as well right now, Chris, is that people who are actually vaccinated, we have to continue to practice social distancing as well as to wear our masks. And I know we all want a better tomorrow, but it actually starts with the things that we're doing today. And that's that on that.
All right, so look, we got our 60-second rant.
You did good, Isaiah.
Mr. CDC himself. Tell me about the book we're going to be doing next month.
Well, before we let you go, I want to talk about the man, the legend, Malcolm X. And that's pertaining to actually the book that we're going to be reading, The Autobiography of a Malcolm X by Alex Haley.
So we'll be viewing, well, you all will be viewing, and we'll be viewing too.
Yes.
Thursdays, every third Thursday of the month, will be on. So you can follow along with us. Please go ahead on and like and share and let all your friends know that we're on so that you can find out the times. And, you know, you can set your alarm, your reminder to let you know every third Thursday we'll be on with a new book.
And make sure to like us on Facebook and follow us on Instagram. It's 4 Friends in a Book. And make sure to put in the comment section like how you got into reading. We would love to hear from you how you started reading and what's your favorite book. So looking forward to seeing you on social media.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. So look, we thank y'all for y'all time. We hope to see
Thank you so much
for our next podcast. But stay tuned and pick up a book. Let's read. Let's learn. Let's roll. Let's talk.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye, guys.